Chinese New Year is observed at the beginning of the lunar Chinese calendar. In Chinese culture, it is known as the Spring Festival and is celebrated to mark the end of winter and the beginning of spring. The Chinese New Year, which is often intertwined with the Lunar New Year of at least 56 ethnic groups, is distinctly focused on ancient Chinese culture and traditions. While different Lunar New Years are celebrated in different cultures, such as Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Taiwan, Tibet, Singapore, Malaysia, and India, the Chinese New Year is a more specific celebration of this lunisolar calendar-based festival that celebrates Chinese culture both in and outside of China. Because the Chinese New Year follows the lunisolar calendar, the annual date of celebration varies, whereas the Gregorian calendar-based Western New Year is fixed every January 1st. In East Asia, the Chinese and Lunar New Years usually fall in late January or early February. While most other cultures celebrate Lunar New Year on the first new moon after the winter solstice, the Chinese New Year is observed on the second new moon after the winter solstice. The Chinese Lunar New Year is also known as the Spring Festival because it marks the beginning of a new season. Other East Asian cultures, such as the Mongolians and Tibetans, have different interpretations and uses of the lunisolar calendar, which explains the varying dates of the Lunar New Year. Meanwhile, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese cultures share the Chinese interpretation. The first mention of New Year celebrations in ancient China was in the book Simi Niuling, which was written during the Han Dynasty. Legend has it that Chinese New Year began with a mythical monster named Nian devouring the children of the villagers. The villagers discovered Nian was terrified of the color red and loud noises. People celebrated Chinese New Year by lighting firecrackers, hanging red lanterns, wearing red clothing, and posting red scrolls on their doors and windows. Nian was terrified and was eventually apprehended by a monk. The Chinese zodiac animals are represented by 12 signs on the calendar. Each new year manifests the characteristics of one of the 12 zodiac signs: the rat, the ox, the tiger, the rabbit, the dragon, the snake, the horse, the goat, the monkey, the rooster, the dog, and the pig. The Chinese adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1912, which celebrates the new year on the eve of December 31st to welcome January 1st as the year's first day. China, on the other hand, continues to observe the traditional Chinese New Year. The festival lasts 15 days, until the full moon. It is also known as the Spring Festival because it occurs during the first days of spring. The custom of sending by Nian Tai or greeting cards for the new year began under Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty. Spring couplets, or chunlian, were used to wish for a long-lasting spring during the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms period. During the Song Dynasty, couplets became common on house doors before the new year. When gunpowder was invented during the Tang Dynasty, bamboo poles were filled with it and lit to produce louder explosions. During the Song Dynasty, at the height of the use of firecrackers, giving money based on age or sui nian qian began. Chinese people began to give nian gao, or year cakes, to their relatives during the Yuan Dynasty. While the eating of jiaozi or dumplings began during the Ming Dynasty. Traditional Chinese practices such as cleaning one's house to honor the deities and ancestors, posting scrolls with lucky messages on windows and doors to ward off evil spirits, and feasting are all part of the celebration. Today, many Chinese prefer the terms Lunar New Year or Spring Festival, whereas the term Chinese New Year is more commonly used in non-Chinese cultural backgrounds such as Indonesia and the Philippines. On the eve of the celebration, each family will gather for dinner at a family table. Long noodles for long life and fish for abundance are typical dishes. On the last day of the new year, families eat round moon dumplings to symbolize a close family unit. In the United States, this is comparable to Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve dinners. Jiaozi, or dumplings shaped like a Chinese slice, are a symbol of wealth in northern China. While niangao, or glutinous New Year cake, is more popular in the south. Other traditional Chinese New Year dishes include fish, spring rolls, sweet rice balls, good fortune fruit, and noodles. To welcome the deities, fireworks, firecrackers, and bamboo sticks are lit on the first day. Lion dances, on the other hand, ward off evil spirits. It is also a popular time for family gatherings, particularly for senior members of families. Red packets are typically given to younger generations and company employees. The Chinese believe that the number 8 represents prosperity, as opposed to the number 4, which represents death. Money is usually enclosed in red packets. While fireworks are enjoyed in many places throughout China, cities such as Kowloon, Beijing, and Shanghai have banned fireworks and other firecrackers due to fire safety concerns. Government-authorized and sponsored fireworks displays are being launched in Hong Kong and Singapore. Married daughters visit their birth parents and relatives on the second day. Temples in Hong Kong are dedicated to the deity Che Kung. The third day, known as Chigo's Day, is observed by burning papers and remaining at home. The fourth day is reserved for business dinners or spring dinners for Chinese people who celebrate the New Year for 15 days. On the fifth day, people in northern China typically eat dumplings and reopen businesses. The sixth day is known as Horse's Day, when people throw out garbage that has accumulated over the holiday, thereby driving away the ghost of poverty. In Malaysia and Singapore, the seventh day is a day to abstain from meat and eat raw fish salad to bring prosperity. Employers or business owners typically host dinners for the birth of the Jade Emperor on the 8th day, while everyone returns to work, also celebrated on the 9th and 10th days. The Lantern Festival takes place on January 15th. It's the ideal day for rice dumplings and glutinous rice ball soup. Candles and lanterns are lit to help good spirits find their way home. While red packets, sweets, and food are traditional gifts for relatives and friends, some items associated with bad luck and death are frowned upon. Handkerchiefs, chrysanthemums, clocks, knives, scissors, shoes, mirrors, and sandals are all included. During the festival, children wear custom red clothing to ward off bad luck and spirits. Aside from newlywed daughters, migrant Chinese workers return home at this time of year to attend family reunions. Exayan Yen Kawai Lu, Gong 11 Fa Kai, and Gong Hei Fat Choi are common greetings. Doors and windows are decorated with red paper cutouts. Happiness, longevity, wealth, and good fortune are traditional themes for paper cutouts. The Chen hop, or tray of togetherness, is another tradition. The tray contains 8 different types of food that are available to guests. Kumquats, peanuts, coconuts, and longyan fruit are among these foods. Plum blossoms and water narcissus are traditional Chinese New Year flowers. Chinese New Year is also observed in countries with a large Chinese population, such as Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines in Southeast Asia. Chinese communities in the U.S. states of New York and California hold parades and programs. Celebrations can be seen in the European cities of London, Paris, and Amsterdam. Meanwhile, Sydney, Australia, claimed to have the largest Chinese New Year celebration outside of Asia in its Chinatown. Chinese New Year is observed as a public holiday in Malaysia for 2 days, similar to Singapore, where street bazaars and lion dance competitions are held. In 2012, the Chinese New Year became a one-day public holiday in the Philippines. Many non-Chinese Filipinos attend the celebrations in Chinatown in Binondo, Manila.